at a certain moment, I had a dream. Some months ago, when we were discussing the structure of the Congress and who we can bring together and how can we have a momentum where we show very, very clearly that the Greens are fighting not only for climate, but also for social justice. And in my, let's say, dream, I thought that I would like to put together some people that they have very common fights, that they have some history, that they are friends, and that I saw that the last months and years we started to cooperate more and more together. And therefore, I propose to our committee with Kiran that it would be fantastic to have with us tonight Yolanda Díaz, which is the Deputy Prime Minister of Spain. I know, you go there. Then I discovered some months ago Luka, Mesec, which is the Deputy Prime Minister from Slovenia, saying that and I must admit I was impressed. And then last but not least, Isabel Mendes Lopes from LIVRE, the co-chair of the party, and of our member party. And I now sit, and I will continue because around this idea, it was not only the issue of how we can show with key players at the European level, progressive friends, that we share a common vision. Something also that we have discussed this morning, because it was a conclusion among the party leaders that the future of the Greens is very much the future of a social Europe, is exactly what Felix mentioned this morning, that we have to go back to home. And it reminds me that home in Greece is ecologia. It means ecologia, and social and ecological part is de facto the same story. But also try to strategize together and to understand from your experience how can we build more progressive alliances in these difficult times. And I would not really like to start and to say the difficult times we face, because you face them every day, and you face them not only in your country, but also in the council, and with the majorities you have to deal. But it is so important to be able to show that there are alternatives. And therefore, for me, it was extremely important not only to have you, Yolanda, or Luka, but to have also you, Isabel, because our member party here, we have several member parties, but LIVRE really did very good results, and there is a lot of hope for the South, because normally we know that Green parties in the South are suffering more than a lot of others. So the combination of the three, for me, was a moment which I'm looking really forward to this discussion. And I thank you very, very much that you took the time to join us tonight. And I would like to start directly with you, Yolanda. You will speak Spanish. We understand each other, Spanish, Italian, whatever, but I mean, we have now to communicate in a different way. And I would like to start with you on exactly the issue that I described. You are here, you are with friends, and how do you see that we can really build and work together for a different Europe.
Bueno, en primer lugar, boa noite, buenas noches. Es un placer estar en una de las ciudades más hermosas del mundo, como es Lisboa, es de las más hermosas. Y, querida Vula, quiero daros las gracias en nombre de Sumar, en nombre propio. Gracias por esta invitación, que creo que es muy importante, y me vais a permitir que ahora dé unas gracias con una reflexión que tiene que ver con vuestra trayectoria y lo que habéis hecho en el mundo. Yo creo que no es posible estar en una sociedad tan compleja como la que vivimos hoy sin leer todas las tesis que acompañan a los partidos verdes europeos, sin aprender de vosotros y de vosotras, y sobre todo, me atrevo a decirlo, que el mayor laboratorio de innovación política hoy tiene que ver con los partidos verdes en Europa, también en el mundo, pero por una razón fundamental. Y es que hay dicotomías que son falsas. No puede haber justicia social sin justicia verde, sin justicia climática. No la puede haber. Y no la puede haber a la inversa. Por eso creo que el debate es radicalmente falso. Los verdes, la juventud europea, nos ha enseñado algo que es clave, y es que no hay alternativa. La emergencia climática es real. Hoy, la falta de recursos naturales en el mundo es una evidencia. El agua y otros muchos factores están generando guerras en el mundo. Es decir, no es una obligación moral, es que necesitamos políticamente colocar la emergencia ambiental y climática en el centro de nuestros corazones y desde ahí tejer políticas públicas que avancen en la igualdad, que es la idea más radical desde Espartaco hasta hoy. Tenemos que ser iguales, iguales en cuanto que derechos sociales, iguales en cuanto que derechos económicos, iguales entre hombres y mujeres, entre las personas LGTBIQ+ en el mundo. Tenemos que ser iguales. Esta idea es muy radical. Pero, amigos y amigas, tenemos que decir alto y claro que la emergencia climática es hoy la centralidad de las políticas públicas. Seguramente Luka y yo, y está Ana Mendes, que fue ministra de Trabajo portuguesa, que la amamos, la queremos, ¿no? Creo que compartimos esta lectura. Yo me acuerdo bien, Vula, lo voy a confesar, con Ernest Urtasun, a la primera reunión de los ministros y ministras verdes, que me enredó Ernest Urtasun cuando trabajaba contigo, y tú eras su jefa, que siempre lo dice. Claro, hablé de algo que es fundamental, y es que tenemos que defender la negociación colectiva verde, que cuando lo dije en el primer EBSCO me miraron como con extrañeza, ¿no? Claro, ¿qué es la negociación colectiva verde? Pues es decirle a las empresas y al mundo del trabajo que tienen que tener una obligación principal desde abajo, que es descarbonizar el modelo productivo y las economías de manera radical. Y tenemos que hacerlo de manera clara. Es decir, los sindicatos, sé que están cambiando, pero hay que trabajar con ellos, tienen que entender que esa dicotomía de la que hablé antes entre el mundo del trabajo, el mundo de la empresa y el mundo ecológico no es real. Es que si no caminamos juntos y juntas, no va a haber ninguna alternativa. Y ahora voy a la cuestión, Vula. Yo te doy las gracias por algo fundamental, y es que estamos viviendo una enorme policrisis, que está además aderezado por un retroceso geopolítico basado en fuerzas autoritarias, se llamen como se llamen, que comparten el programa del odio, se llame Chega, se llame Vox, se llame Trump, se llame Milei, se llame Orbán, todos y todas comparten un programa en común, todos y todas, y van radicalmente en serio. No son locos. Trump no es un loco. No lo es. Los de Chega no son locos. Y no tenemos nada que aprender ni de Chega ni de Vox. Lo conversaba ahora con Ana. Digo esto porque hay un juego muy perverso que estamos viviendo en nuestros países, que es que la derecha, lo que era antes la derecha, está copiando los programas políticos de la extrema derecha. Y tenemos que decir hoy aquí, desde Lisboa, a toda Europa, que no hay nada que aprender ni de Chega, ni de Vox, ni de las extremas derechas en el mundo. No hay nada que aprender. No lo hay. Pero Trump nos distrae con sus barbaridades, pero tiene un programa político clarísimo. Un programa político que es resolver su crisis, su déficit comercial, que existe y que es real en el mundo, pero además tiene un programa político que es derrotar la democracia con sus nuevas formas. La foto de la toma de posesión de Trump, rodeado de los magnates, hombres, blancos, hiperricos, no es una foto, es una auténtica declaración de intenciones y tenemos que tenerlo claro. Pero es que hemos conocido el programa de la política exterior esta semana de Trump, en la que dice dos cosas claras. La primera, va a ayudar a todas las extremas derechas en el mundo, está colonizando completamente Latinoamérica. Acabo, Vula, de regresar de México. Y están colonizando con dinero directamente a toda Latinoamérica. Pero la segunda cosa que nos ha dicho, y va a apoyar a las fuerzas reaccionarias y de extrema derecha en el mundo, la segunda cosa que nos ha dicho es que viene a por Europa.
Exactamente.
Viene a por Europa. Y yo, compañeros y compañeras, la democracia no se acaba de un día para otro, la vienen desgastando. Estamos viviendo un proceso de vaciamiento completo de la democracia. A la cuestión, Vula, yo creo que esto que planteas tú es una urgencia ineludible. Es decir, las fuerzas hermanas, los verdes, Sumar, las distintas formulaciones que haya, hay una auténtica emergencia democrática y tenemos que salvar la democracia y dar alternativas de vida reales a la gente en Europa. Es decir, necesitamos más Europa, pero Europa social. No la Europa, la de la cumbre de Porto fallida en septiembre que sale sin declaración. No esa Europa. No queremos la Europa de Ursula von der Leyen. Queremos una Europa que sea fuerte y que diga que hay 93,2 millones de personas pobres en Europa. El 25% de la gente trabajadora en Europa es precaria. Por tanto, tenemos que ir con una propuesta de mínimos compartida, seria, para solventar los problemas de la gente, con una propuesta absolutamente verde. No hay marcha atrás. Todas las respuestas que está dando la Comisión Europea es devaluar el Pacto Verde. Da igual que si las luchas de los ganaderos y agricultores franceses, rebaja del Pacto Verde Europeo, que si el sector de la automoción alemán, rebaja del Pacto Verde Europeo, cuando no es verdad, cuando no arreglamos nada con esto, todo al revés. Y la tercera cuestión es que creo que en términos de esperanza tenemos que caminar juntas. Y yo os digo, compañeros y compañeras, con la coordinadora de Sumar, que nos acompaña aquí presente, que vamos a ir caminando con vuestras fuerzas, con vuestro partido y los Verdes Europeos, para tener un proyecto que sea compartido, que sea hermano y que nos permita caminar de aquí en adelante de manera directa, porque necesitamos hacerlo. Y termino. Creo que hay que hacer una propuesta que sea sencilla. Los problemas de la gente en Europa los conocemos. Es el mundo del trabajo, es la emergencia climática, es la crisis de vivienda, son los derechos humanos, las guerras, lo son, sabemos cuáles son, hablemos claro y hagamos algo que nunca falla, que me lo decía el Papa Francisco, que es la esperanza. Amigos y amigas verdes, la esperanza la necesitamos como agua de mayo. Es decir, si no convencemos a la gente de que hay esperanza, no vamos a poder ganar. Y esta es la tarea que tenemos hoy. Y termino. Y termino porque soy una iberista apasionada. Creo que la balsa de piedra de Saramago es un proyecto, ¿no?, creo que bien bonito. Si me permitís, hoy que en mi país estamos celebrando el Día de la Constitución, Ernest y yo llegamos justamente ahora de esto, quiero deciros, como galega y española, que no tenemos nada que aprender de lo que ha pasado en Portugal. En Portugal hemos visto, compañeros y compañeras, los errores que se cometen, los errores que cometen las fuerzas de izquierdas. Los errores que cometen las fuerzas de izquierdas. Yo conversaba con Ana, Luka, hace un momento, tomando un café, bueno, la primera convocatoria electoral que hubo en Portugal y las razones del porqué de esa repetición de elecciones. 2, estamos viendo que van absolutamente en serio y que cuando llegan a los gobiernos acaban con todo. Y lo hacen en cuestión de días, Vula. Lo hacen en cuestión de días. Por tanto, con todo lo que sé que está pasando en el mundo, os digo que necesitamos un programa de mínimos, necesitamos inteligencia compartida, generosidad como la que estáis teniendo vosotros y vosotras, y desde luego caminar juntas. Y yo, en nombre de, humildemente, lo que represento yo aquí, estoy deseando trabajar de la mano de los verdes en Europa.
I knew.
Good evening.
I knew that she's unstoppable, so I could not really stop you because with your passion, I mean, and with your fuego is impossible. But we need now to know a little bit, yes, we need now to give the time to the translator, to the interpreter, to try to do the job, yes.
Good evening.
No need.
I don't have a proper mic. Is it working? Oh, it's working now, okay. I apologize beforehand for any omissions that I might have because I've filled in like 6 pages and it with scribbles, but I more or less know what Yolanda says. I'll try and be as precise as possible. So good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me to Lisbon, to beautiful Lisbon. It's very nice for me to be in a city that I love so much. And it's very important to follow the Greens, the Green Party in Europe, because your trajectory in the world is one that is an example. It's impossible in today's society not to do without learning from you. We know that there are many problems in Europe, that democracy is at stake, that the parties are not, the governing parties are not doing their job properly. There's a discussion about a false dichotomy in the climate emergency. But there is a real climate emergency because we're missing resources, we're lacking resources, water is the cause of war, and we have the moral obligation to counteract this emergency with public action towards equality between men and women, between all peoples of all races, of all religions, LGBTQ+. We have to address the climate emergency, and as I was discussing with Ana Matos, the former Minister of Portugal from LIVRE, that I met when we went to the first meeting of Green Ministers with Urtasun, another Minister of the government of Spain. And the idea is that we have to have green in everything, green collective bargaining. We have to stop this dichotomy saying that business and labor are dissociated from the environmental issues. We have to involve the trade unions. We have to be radical about it. We're in a crisis. There's a big, huge backlash in geopolitics from the far right. There's a lot of authoritarianism in the world, a lot of hate. Parties like Chega in Portugal, Vox in Spain, or Mr. Trump's administration, Milei in Argentina, Orban in Hungary, all of them have the same program. They're not mad. None of them is a madman. They're not mad people. They're bad people. And we have nothing to learn from them. They have nothing to teach us. And the problem is that the right-wing parties, the traditional right-wing parties, are copying from the far right, and we have nothing, absolutely nothing to learn from them. And Trump is trying to distract us to solve his own crisis, his own deficit, and his own political program, which is to kill democracy. And you can see this when he took possession. He was surrounded by rich, white men. That's the declaration of intentions of what Mr. Trump wants to do in his foreign policy. And he's colonizing Latin America, he's buying Latin America with money, and just for the sake of destroying Europe. So it's urgent that we all walk together. We're brother and sister parties. There's an emergency democracy. This is a real, real emergency. And it was seen last September at Porto. There was a summit that had no conclusions. And in Europe, there are 93 million people who are poor. 25% of the population is living in very precarious conditions. And we have to solve these problems, and the only way to solve them is by being green. We have to be environmental. The Commission, managed by Ursula von der Leyen, is actually devaluing the Green Deal because the farmers in France complain about something, or the car manufacturers in Germany complain about something else. But there is no way other than to be green, and we know this. I know this from having spoken to Pope Francis. He said there is hope, and we must hope. Without hope, we cannot go anywhere. And we have to solve the social problems, human rights problems, the war problems, the housing problems. And the only way to do that is by walking together. I'm also an Iberianist. I'm very much a fan of a book by Saramago called The Stone... Raft. Okay, stone raft. I didn't know the word in jangada in English. So today in Spain is Constitution Day. We have a constitution that was voted on the 6th of December. And as a Spaniard, we have nothing to learn from the mistakes made in Portugal when they had 2 sessions of elections. And just having coffee with Anna, the elections were repeated. This was a serious issue because the government, once the far right gets into the government, all their policy is to start dismantling and destroying all the rights that we have acquired so difficultly in such a long time. So the idea is looking forward to collaborating with the Greens for a better Europe, for a better world for everyone. Thank you.
So I'm turning to you, Lucas, because we know in Slovenia you are cooperating with our member party, Vesna, and Levica and Vesna, they will run for the national elections beginning of next year. So, of course, in the light of this cooperation, there is also a political proximity and a political project. So can you describe a little bit how do you see this, this evolution, but not necessarily only in Slovenia, but all over Europe?
Yes. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you, Vula, and thank you, the European Green Party, for inviting me. And before I answer, to be frank, Vula, I was hoping that you will first give a word to Isabel, because Yolanda is such a good speaker that one of the hardest things in my political life is to take after her. I mean, I don't even speak Spanish, but I understand Yolanda.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yes, maybe to go to the Slovenian and the European issues. Well, I am very glad, and that's also the reason why I'm here today, that we started collaborating with Vesna. There are our fellow party members back there, so please give them an applause. And this collaboration stems from many things that Yolanda already mentioned. It stems from the understanding that there will be no green transition without social justice. And there will be no social justice without a green transition. It also goes the other way. Maybe today a journalist asked me, why do I think so? And I said, well, maybe we always have to learn from history. So we were talking about human rights since the French Revolution. But a catastrophe in the size of Second World War had to happen for all political branches to accept that human rights are framework which all we will follow. Now we are talking about climate issues, about planet that is melting before our eyes, species that are dying from day to day, ecosystems that are dying. We are talking about that for more than 5 decades. And we are still on the same railway. What I fear is, if we do not start acting, a catastrophe in the size of Second World War will come in order to force us to accept that planet has boundaries. And that is why I'm saying there will be no social justice without green transition. Green transition is a must. All science says that, and it is time for politicians to start accepting that fact. Now, what I firmly believe is that thinking about green transition is also a very good starting point for political imagination. If anything today, the problem with the politics is that we are out of imagination. What we see on the far right are more or less replicas of the most absurd ideologies that we have seen in the 20th century. So I like political imagination. I also like sci-fi. And here I'm coming to Slovenia. One of the best sci-fi books, it is about environmentalism, is called Ministry for the Future. Maybe you know it, yeah. Okay, so a few years ago I picked up that book and basically named a ministry in Slovenia after it because I said, well, the politics is so out of imagination that I very much agree with an author that said that the 20th century started with utopia and ended with nostalgia. So the only utopia we have today is nostalgia. But I reject that. We have to look to the future and we have to invent our own future. So what we basically did in Slovenia, and that was the utopian part of the policy, we set up a new ministry that is called Ministry for Solidarity-Based Future. In Slovenian it's more simple. It's Ministrstvo za solidarno prihodnost, like the book title says. It is unfortunately not about environment, but it is about social justice. And we said like that, okay, in the ministry, I'm Minister of Labor, Family, Social Affairs, Pension, Disabled People, all of those things. We said, okay, this is accumulated social justice from the previous social fights. Now we are setting up a new ministry in order to breach new frontiers. And we put in that ministry social housing, long-term care, and economic democracy. 3 policies to be developed. And now, 3.5 years later, I must say that I'm very proud that we have 3 big checks. Social housing, we developed a system. We are investing 1 billion euros as a country, finally, to develop social housing system in Slovenia. Long-term care, also. We have developed 6 different rights that you could get from long-term care. We have enabled financing. Each employee pays 2% of his or her salary into Solidarity Fund, and each pensioner pays 1% of pension into that fund, and that fund now funds the system of long-term care. That was a very complicated thing to do in 3 years, but we did it. And with the economic democracy, we said, well, we have to go beyond the debate either public or private ownership. There's something in between that we are missing. There's workers' ownership. And we have taken a look to the United States, where there's employee stock ownership plan. That's a system that functions for already 50 years. It has 14 million people employed, and those 14 million people are also the owners of the firms that they work in. It is the best functioning worker ownership scheme in the world, and we made Slovenia the first country to translate that scheme into European acquis communautaire. So we have done this just 1 month ago. And now, when we are merging with Vesna for the next election, we are already plotting how to transpose such an approach to green topics, how to make a project ministry in order to bridge the frontiers that we are just talking about for years or even decades, but urgently need our action.
Thank you. So, Isabella, now I'm turning to you. I would like just to understand, because I know that you have worked a lot on social issues in the Parliament. How do you see the situation? What are your priorities, and how these social aspects are combined with this ecological justice and the just transition? Isabel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vula. And it's a great pleasure to be here with Yolanda and Luka. And it's a great pleasure to be here with you all talking about such an important issue. It's okay? And, okay, thank you. We tend never to bring the discussion in separate ways. All the measures, all the ideas that we bring to the Parliament are always about social justice and environmental justice, and how we can address the ecological transition, getting people's lives better. And I think that's one of the key issues that we always have to address. And I also retained Felix's sentence this morning saying that we need to build home for people. And build home is to get, or to present that there's this path to make our lives more comfortable, more meaningful. And that's what I see as a home, is where you can be yourself and be in a safe space, and that we can always provide to do so in a home, and that's one of the things that we have been trying to do. And for instance, when we think about the transition that we need to make, and in the green transition, we also need imagination, and that's why, for instance, one of the things that we have been working and is relating to time, and because all our lives are very busy, and sometimes they are completely crazy, the lack of time that we have, and it's, when we think about it, it's not, it shouldn't be this way, because with all the technological transformation that we have, we should all have more time now. And that's one of the things that we try to do, is we can imagine a life where we can use the technological evolution to give us all more time, and that's not happening. All our lives are getting more speedy, and the time is very badly distributed between people. And so that's one of the things we're trying to do. That's why we presented and did the project pilot for the 4-day work week together with Anna, who is here as well. And so what we have been saying is we need, and this week we have a general strike here in Portugal because the government is completely trying to transform the labor legislation in Portugal and going completely on the opposite direction of what work in this century should be. And so this strike is very important. But because what we say is, okay, we should think about work and work in the 21st century. If we have the technological evolution, we have the scientific knowledge, we know that working in shifts is really damaging for our health, or doing night work. We know as well that, for instance, for a child, the first 1,000 days of its life are very important. So they should have more time with the family to develop the connections and feel safe. So if we have all this scientific knowledge about the impact of work and the impact of the lack of time and the impact of our crazy life in our lives, then we should use our imagination to think, okay, how can we manage to organize differently? And we try to bring that to the Parliament, and that's why the 4-day work week project, for instance. And the question of time is always very present. I would like to also say that in our room in the Parliament we have a whiteboard, and with a lot of ideas, written, just to not to forget that we want to work on them. And one of them is Lei dos Usos do Tempo. It's the law of the uses of time, because we are very inspired with what is happening in Spain and the work that you do. But the difficulty is finding now, with this composition of Parliament, with the government that we have in Portugal now, finding the space to talk about these things. But at the same time, we know that because we talk about these things, that's where people are drawn to LIVRE and are drawn to some kind of hope that things could be better, and this is very important. But I would like also to stress that this general strike that we have this week is very important, not only because the attack on workers' rights and families' rights that the government is trying to do is very real, but because of one of the things that Yolanda said, because if this legislation passes, it will pass with the vote of the extreme right. So this general strike is also a step to defend democracy in Portugal as well. So this is why this strike is so important as well. But only to wrap up, and specifically to your question, what we've been trying to do is always to combine things and combine the need for a just transition. So for instance, we presented this program of isolating the houses, and that's an ecological measure, but it was presented as we are trying to give comfort to people. The people have the right to own a house that they can afford, and that's another topic in Portugal, the prices of the houses, and a house where they are comfortable with. And that's good for people, that's good for their wallets, that's good for the environment, that's good for the country. And we always try to present the measures like this. And the other thing that we try to do is to present measures that are disruptive in the way that we are organized, but that are obviously just. And that's one of for instance, the unemployment subsidy for victims of domestic violence that we were able to do together with Anna. That was very important, because not only because it helps victims of domestic violence, and it helps people, especially women, to break the cycle where they are stuck, but also because it shifts the way that we look at the unemployment subsidy. And so we are doing changes little by little, but actually changes that are very, when they are made, then they are very obvious to a lot of people. And another, just to finish, another measure that we were able also to make, even though we are a small party, and we were a small party, now we are a bit bigger, but just with one MP, which was Rui Tavares at the time, we were able to create a railway national pass in Portugal, which was a huge shift in the way that people were addressing the public transport, especially rail. And that again is an ecological measure, but it's presented as good for people and good for the lives of everyday people. So I think that's the way that we are doing things that is working, because people really feel that they are seen and that there's this future that we can build together through these measures, and they are always, environment and social justice are walking side by side and together.
So, now I come back to Yolanda, and there the interpreter needs to, that's good, thank you, because there is again a risk of, let's say, a lot of successes of Yolanda during your work and your functions. I mean, you brought a lot in Spain. And we would like, first of all, to tell you what are the major changes that you brought. That's why I say there is a risk that it will be a very long list, but it is important really to give you the time to tell us about your fights and about your achievements in Spain.
Bueno, creo que el mayor éxito que hemos tenido en España, Vula, es que le hemos dicho a la ciudadanía que podíamos mejorar su vida. ¿Y por qué digo esto? Digo esto porque desde los tiempos de Thatcher hubo una frase que se coló en las mentes de todo el mundo, que nos decían que no había alternativa, y la gente creía que era imposible cambiar su vida, que era imposible emocionarlos y que era posible pues que la gente pudiera vivir un poquito mejor. ¿Por qué digo esto? Bueno, porque creo que esta receta de hacer lo que decíamos en campaña que íbamos a hacer es clave para no decepcionar a la ciudadanía. Si después vamos más lentas o nos tropezamos un poco o lo que sea, tenemos que explicar por qué. Pero creo que lo primero es decirle a la gente que hay alternativa y que se puede gobernar para que la gente viva mejor. ¿Por qué digo esto? Yo creo que el gran éxito del modelo de trabajo del Ministerio de Trabajo en España es que hemos dicho que los neoliberales no tenían razón. Y me voy a explicar. No es desde la macroeconomía y desde la economía que se cambia la vida de la gente, sino que es desde abajo, desde el mundo del trabajo, en el que se cambia la economía y, por tanto, cambiamos la vida de la gente en un país. ¿Por qué digo esto? Digo esto porque hoy España es el país que presume de crecer más en la OCDE. Crecemos al 3,2%. Pero hoy, si veis los informes del Fondo Monetario Internacional, de la Comisión Europea o de la OCDE, dicen que la cuestión está en que hemos cambiado el paradigma en el mundo del trabajo. Es decir, que es el trabajo el que hace crecer la economía y no al revés. ¿Qué hemos hecho en España? Lo primero, afrontar una crisis de manera radicalmente a como se había hecho siempre en España desde el año 79 hasta que llegamos al gobierno. ¿Y qué dijimos? Pues que lo que había que hacer era salvar empresas, salvar puestos de trabajo, salvar las recaudaciones en términos de ingresos públicos, de fiscalidad, salvar las recaudaciones en las cotizaciones sociales, en definitiva, salvar el país. ¿Cuál fue la batalla que dimos dentro del gobierno? Pues dentro del gobierno es que tenía una lectura que decía esto va a hundir nuestro país porque esto es una inversión pública multimillonaria. Yo le saqué un dato con mi coordinador económico de aquella, que era Manuel Lago, que conoce nuestro querido consejero laboral, Benigno Sánchez, y es que les pedí a mi equipo que hicieran un cómputo de cuánto costaba tener a la gente en desempleo ante un desplome sin precedentes de 11 puntos del PIB que se desplomó y cuánto costaba tener a la gente protegida. Bueno, solo os doy un dato. La gestión del Partido Popular en la crisis financiera generó un déficit fiscal en España de 76.000 millones de euros. 76.000 millones de euros. Despidos masivos. Una tasa de paro sin precedentes. Dolor social, suicidios, desahucios. Me lo ahorro todo. Bien, es verdad que la inversión pública de ese mecanismo de protección social fue elevadísima. Más de 20.000 millones de euros. Pero es que es lo que explica que salvando como salvamos a 4.100.000 trabajadores y trabajadoras y 558.000 empresas, hoy la economía española y la sociedad española haya reducido la desigualdad y vivamos un poco mejor. Por tanto, ¿qué dijimos? Se acabó despedir a la gente ante las crisis. 2. Ante las crisis no hay que devaluar los salarios. No hay que bajar los salarios, al revés. Cuando hay crisis necesitamos que la gente mantenga sus rentas salariales. Y fundamental, proteger socialmente. Esto es una discusión que siempre hay con la academia y el neoliberalismo, que es que para que la gente que está en desempleo se incorpore al mundo del trabajo, tenemos que desprotegerla. No, esto es acientífico. Es completamente acientífico. Es cuando la gente está más protegida, cuando se encuentra en mejor posición para poder afrontar esta realidad. Por tanto, lo primero, un mecanismo de protección social basado en proteger el mundo de las empresas, los autónomos y los trabajadores. Fue la primera vez, Vula, en España, que a la gente autónoma protegimos a 1 de cada 2 personas autónomas. No había pasado en toda la democracia. 2. Hicimos de la estrategia de subir el salario mínimo interprofesional una bandera y dijimos, el salario mínimo es la herramienta para combatir la desigualdad. Hoy es un éxito sin precedentes, sin precedentes. Subimos el salario mínimo un 61% y lo vamos a seguir subiendo ahora. Pero es que además, decíamos, el impacto que tiene el salario mínimo en la juventud y en las mujeres es brutal. Hoy, si veis todos los informes sobre España, hemos reducido la brecha retributiva, a pesar de las crisis en España, un 22%. Y hoy España está por debajo, en términos de brecha retributiva, por debajo de la media de la UE. Es decir, que estamos haciendo cambios en la política laboral que son, por una parte, feministas. Yo, mi primera rueda de prensa, cuando llegué como ministra, tomé posesión en enero del año 20 y en febrero di una rueda de prensa para subir el salario mínimo y dije, la mejor política feminista se llama salario mínimo interprofesional. Hoy no tengo que demostrar nada porque es así. Es la mejor medida feminista. Pero 3, hicimos una variable que es la variable verde. Todas las políticas que hace el Ministerio de Trabajo, desde la primera hasta los permisos climáticos que hemos hecho, estos últimos que solo estamos, Canadá y nosotros, de manera fuerte en ellos, y ERTEs climáticos, todas las políticas son directamente verdes, es decir, incardinadas con la necesidad de descarbonizar la economía. 3, hemos cogido un fenómeno, no me voy a extender mucho, pero que es de laboralizar las relaciones del trabajo. En España, a lo largo de toda la democracia, daba igual quien gobernara, lo que se hacía era sacar a la gente del mundo del derecho laboral. Todos son autónomos, ¿no? Con un efecto que es muy perverso. Lo que hicimos fue incorporar a muchos colectivos de trabajadores y trabajadoras al mundo del derecho laboral, es decir, darle derechos plenos. Ahí hicimos una grandísima reforma que fue, para mí, es de las más importantes, Vula, por el impacto que tiene como modelo de sociedad, porque tiene que ver con lo que decía antes Luka, que son los cuidados, que son, bueno, una ley que es auténticamente revolucionaria, que son las que regula el trabajo en el hogar en nuestro país, en el que hemos dicho que esas mujeres que cuidan de nuestras vidas, que cuidan de nuestras casas, no solamente tienen que tener derechos, sino que es que además hemos hecho algo tan tremendo como que la prevención de riesgos laborales tiene que estar, por supuesto, en ellas y la seguridad y la salud en el trabajo tiene que estar en manos públicas. Por tanto, ¿qué hicimos? Trabajadoras del hogar. Está Ernest, que es ministro de Cultura. Hicimos una primera reforma del Estatuto del Artista, es decir, dijimos, las gentes de la creación en España tienen que tener derechos laborales y tienen que formar parte de esta gran reforma. Por tanto, la cultura para adentro. Los conocidos como riders, que hemos dado una batalla en Europa, Ana, Luka y yo, con el comisario Smith, por la plataforma de la directiva de plataformas digitales, pero que España fue pionera. Es el único país en el mundo que tiene regulado esto con una batalla, imaginaos, amigos y amigas que estamos hoy aquí, una batalla sin precedentes. Y todo con diálogo social, es decir, dijimos, la gente que está trabajando aquí son trabajadores y trabajadoras, tienen derechos, los algoritmos no pueden ser opacos, es decir, los sindicatos de clase tienen derecho a conocer el algoritmo que se usa en las empresas para saber qué es lo que hacen con el acceso al empleo, las modificaciones en el empleo y la salida en el empleo, una reforma que fue la más difícil que tuvimos. El dirigente de la patronal española dijo públicamente, salimos vivos de esa reforma. Hoy, compañeros y compañeras, Luka y yo acabamos de venir de un EBSCO lunes, cuidado, porque la presión que hay por Trump y la connivencia que hay con esta Comisión Europea es que no regulemos nada que tenga que ver con las Big Tech en términos de empleo, de derechos laborales, en términos de competencia desleal, Vula, porque no regular los algoritmos es que estamos generando competencia desleal entre las empresas también, que son excluidas, en términos, por supuesto, de fiscalidad, que son empresas que no pagan, y en términos de proyecto social. Y luego hicimos, pues yo creo que una gran reforma laboral, que hoy ya es conocida por todo el mundo, que tiró abajo todos los mantras neoliberales. Es decir, hemos dicho que era posible tener a la gente estable en sus puestos de trabajo y hoy me vais a permitir que os diga que España tiene cifras récord de ocupación. Tenemos 22,4 millones de personas ocupadas. Nunca en nuestro país había pasado eso. Es decir, que tener relaciones estables no es verdad que despida a la gente, como nos decían, ¿no? Hubo una ministra de Trabajo del PP, Vula, que dijo, la juventud española tiene que elegir entre despidos o precariedad. Este es el modelo social que había en nuestro país. ¿Y qué dijimos nosotros? No, esta dicotomía, como la de la justicia social y la climática, no es real. No, es que la gente joven tiene derecho a tener un puesto de trabajo estable, por supuesto digno y además con un salario digno. Esto es lo que tenemos que hacer. Y esa reforma es lo que explica, y acabo, que hoy España esté por debajo de las tasas de temporalidad de Europa. Y termino, y no lo podemos dejar mirar para otro lado. Necesitamos mejorar las rentas salariales en Europa. Esto es así, porque tenemos una crisis de vivienda sin precedentes, pero aún sin la crisis de vivienda necesitamos que los salarios sean dignos en el conjunto de nuestros países para que la gente pueda vivir con dignidad. En definitiva, lo cambiamos todo y creo que demostramos que lo que hacemos es positivo. Termino, Vula. La reducción de la jornada laboral, como decía Isabel, es una medida democrática. ¿Vale? En primer lugar, en términos de tiempo de vida de mujeres y hombres. 2, es democrática porque supone repartir la productividad. Y a los empresarios les tenemos que decir que ya ha llegado la hora de repartir un poquito la productividad. Un poquito. 3. Es una medida ecológica sin precedentes. Ecológica, porque reducir el tiempo de trabajo es reducir obviamente el tiempo de producción. ¿Y por qué necesitamos esto? Nosotros somos gente moderna, queremos inteligencia artificial, queremos algoritmos, pero lo queremos para la democracia, para el bien común, para el servicio de todos y de todas nosotras. Y también lo queremos porque hay puestos de trabajo, Vula, que son altamente contaminantes. No los queremos. No queremos esos puestos de trabajo. Queremos puestos de trabajo que obviamente estén asistidos por la tecnología para que además esa gente trabajadora deje de enfermarse. En definitiva, y con esto termino, la jornada laboral es también una medida para prevenir la salud mental. Uno de los factores de enfermedad hoy en toda Europa tiene que ver con el tiempo de trabajo. La gente no puede más, compañeros y compañeras del Partido Verde. La gente no puede más. Es contradictorio porque tenemos inteligencia artificial, toda la modernidad del mundo y estamos completamente exhaustos. No podemos más. Por tanto, esta medida que da esperanza de vida a la gente es la que tenemos que agarrar con todo el cariño y defenderla allí donde estemos. Es curioso, Vula, que todas estas medidas que hacemos en el Gobierno de España son las más valoradas por la ciudadanía. Entonces, creo que nos da pistas de lo que debemos de hacer. Y esto es un patrimonio ya común y creo que colectivo, que hemos ganado la batalla y seguiremos trabajando y resistiendo desde España frente a la extrema derecha y la barbarie.
The best success is when you promise citizens that you will improve their lives and you actually do it. Margaret Thatcher changed the mindset, saying that there was no alternative, and for a long time people believed that there was no alternative for the better. But by doing what we said we would do, that's the key. And if we're slow, we have to explain why. There are alternatives, and the success in the labour market is to say that the neoliberals are wrong. There's no dichotomy in the economy. We have to change the lifestyles. Spain is growing far more than any other country. It's said by the OCDE, by the FMI, by the European Commission itself. We've changed the labour paradigm in Spain. That's why the economy is growing. Since 1979, we've had a radical change, and we've helped to save businesses, we've helped to save jobs, we've helped to improve tax collection and social security. We're going to save the country by doing this. We have to battle with the actual government because they're actually being attacked by multimillionaires. But if there's unemployment, that's not good for the economy. And that's what the Popular Party did. It had a deficit of 76 billion euros with many layoffs, many unemployment, and with an actual public investment of 20 billion, we saved 4,100,000 jobs and 558,000 businesses. So the inequality is less than it used to be. We have less layoffs, we don't have low wages, and we have improved society. Sorry for this, it's not the best way to work. I haven't finished yet. I was asked to sum up. It's impossible to do it, but anyway, the interest is to decarbonize the economy. That's a green thing. We have to make sure that people are working, and the best way is to help them find jobs and to especially improve labor rights. There are many people in Spain who did not have labor rights, such as caregivers.
It's very difficult with the time, but also with the fact that in that building we were not able to have a simultaneous interpretation, so things becomes a little bit more complicated. Also to choose a place like that or another one, so we went for that. I would like to ask very briefly to both of you in order to conclude, and apologies again for not being able really to do it in a better way. Luka, the context in the Council is very complicated. I mean, we got it and we know it. If there is something that you would like really to push forward before, let's say, the end of your mandate, or at least something that you would like to continue afterwards, could you tell us what is your priority for Europe this time?
My priority for Europe. I would say that my priority for Europe would be first to unite the progressive forces. Here we are two from the left party, Ana Mendes from the Socialists, and you the Greens. So I believe that is a very good start. The second thing that I would say is realizing that we are not nearly in the same position that we were like 5 or 10 years ago. 5 or 10 years ago, it was our side that set the agenda. It was the protest movements around Europe that set the agenda, that talked about precarity, about housing, about jobs, about welfare, about LGBT, and Fridays for Future, who talked about climate. That was the agenda. Now the agenda is made by our opponents. They are talking about competitiveness, they are talking about bureaucracy, they are talking about migration, they are talking about how Europe is plundering into a chaos that themselves are producing. That is the agenda today. So my, plea to all of us here would be that we realize that, and we are not in a position where the system, as we know it, is attacked mercilessly by the right and the far right. We shall not be the protectors of the system. If we are in defensive and we protect the system, we will be defeated. So we had to get, pardon my French, our shit together and pose our own demands, our own agenda, with which we will win the elections and with which we will win the future of Europe.
Thank you. And Isabella, to conclude. I will not conclude. You conclude.
I think it's very important to build the European project as a project of hope, and not only hope, but as enthusiasm. And that can be made through the union of progressive forces, not only in the European continent, but also with the progressive forces all around the world, because really this is a global fight. It's a global not only fight, but the global joining of forces of progressive movements. And that's very important, not only to fight the oligarchs that we see all around the world that are around us, but also, and within us as well, but also to build this future of hope that we know that it's possible to build, and to make people believe that this future is possible. And when we do that, people come and people join forces. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do, and this is the right place to do it. So thank you very much.
Just to conclude, I think that exactly this setting shows you how much we have to do together and how much we can change together. And I'm looking really forward to continue this discussion. In the next year, we will make some pan-European campaigns, and I really hope that we will be able to do them together. And whatever setting and whatever progressives needs to work together in order to change things and in order to change Europe, because there is no Europe without a social future. Thank you.